You have to have the human aspect. A lot of people think, okay, well, technology is going to take over, AI is going to take over. It's not. It's only as good as the inputs. I mean, just like any other program, if the code is corrupted, the program's corrupted. It's that simple. You have to have the right person running that. It can't be the wrong person because lives are at stake. It goes through an extreme example, but when you pull it back, the extreme example of death can be the extreme example of someone getting their history wrong. It can be somebody getting false information, which then creating their own biases around that false information will throw them off. The rest of their life could be thrown off because of that single input, which is an incorrect input. I always say nobody gives a shit what they're building, what you like about it, what's great about it. All they care about is how is it going to help them get what they want.
All right. I'm here with my buddy Shane Boudreau, and we got an interesting conversation today. But Shane, I just want to thank you again for being on the show. And then additionally, what got you interested in the intersection of humanity and technology?
Thank you very much, Don. I'd say the first thing that really got me going, you have to have the human aspect. A lot of people think, okay, well, technology is going to take over, AI is going to take over. It's not. If you allow that to happen, then things become corrupted. They've had a lot of AI models that have come out that are simply incorrect. They're learning based upon whoever the input of data is. So whoever's building that product, whoever's building that engine or whatever it is that they're doing, uh, is based and biased based upon whoever that programmer is, whoever that team has put in charge of implementing that data. It's only as good as the inputs. I mean, just like any other program, if the code is corrupted, the program's corrupted. It's that simple. So finding the humanity part, finding the people that are really engaged and wanting to know where this can go from an organic standpoint, uh, taking out their biases, just putting in raw data, raw information to then enhance the development of the technology, especially when it comes to AI, machine learning algorithms, predictive analysis, all those kind of things can only be done properly with removing the human bias. But in doing so, you have to have it's really an influx. You have to have a slight bit of human bias in there because everyone is different. All the cultures are different. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It doesn't matter where you originate from, how you grew up, uh, you know, race, color, creed. Everything is different. So eliminating the biases of the programmer and implementing the technology based around um, right and wrong, but I mean right and wrong as black and white, not gray. You can't say, okay, well, you know, it can be anything from political leaning, right? So I think this side's better than this side, so I'm going to put something in. Use factual information to implement that, and then with the human aspect, you can put in um, socioeconomics based upon where you're at. It doesn't have to be biased, but it does need um, compassion.
Yeah, and I think you're hitting on a couple of points here that there's that alignment of activities that AI can do, along with like what we're actually trying to accomplish, right? And we've seen this in many other spaces where data centers, it was popular 10 years ago, 15 years ago to like try to run a lights out operation. And we haven't gotten to that point, right? Like you still need people in order to make sure that the data center runs. But then additionally, when it comes to like AI and alignment, there's a fun little exercise that was done where some researchers got ChatGPT to play chess against a computer program, and it was told like, "Hey, beat your objective is to play chess and win." And most of us would sit down and become better at chess in order to beat the computer. Well, the AI was like, "If I win, that's the goal." So what it did is it went in and rewrote the computer program so that it was bad at playing chess. And it ended up achieving the goal of winning,
Mhm.
but at what cost? And so I think you're highlighting a crucial point there. But then additionally, like that, the bias of the programmer, the bias of what we're seeing. Like, for example, we have DeepSeek, which is a a very successful model out of China. And the original R1 models and V2 models, I believe, they showcase like if you asked it a question about Tiananmen Square,
Mhm.
it would basically act like it had no idea, right? And so like
Exactly.
there's a significant like political slash historical bias of rewriting the history around that, and we do have to be aware of what these models are basically trained and fed. So as an entrepreneur, as an investor, as a a person in a society, like how are you going about and either evaluating your use case for it or seeing like, hey, I understand that if I'm going to use DeepSeek, it's not going to know about some of these things. How are you seeing that influence your decisions today?
It's the people. Uh, so even my eldest son Tanner, he interns at Meta and he works in the AI department. Uh, the people that he's around, they go into, so when you're working with DeepSeek, when you're working with anything that's outside of the organization, they always have an anticipation that um, it's corrupt, and they call it corrupt, but it's not necessarily corrupt as the program, is corrupt as the input. Uh, those who forget history are deemed to repeat it, and that's what will happen. It's not a maybe, it's not just a saying, it will happen.
Yeah,
So being able to put that information in without the bias, without emotion, without anything, and treating a computer like a computer. A computer runs what you tell it. It will grow what you tell it, just like you said about the chess. You know, if you tell it without parameters, beat this, it'll cheat, and it's no different than the technology using in the DoD. We do a lot of work with the federal government, and I can tell you that you have to have somebody, you have to have the right person running that. It can't be the wrong person because lives are at stake. It goes through an extreme example, but when you pull it back, the extreme example of death can be the extreme example of uh, someone getting their history wrong. It can be somebody getting false information, which then creating their own biases around that false information will throw them off. Well, the rest of their life could be thrown off because of that single input, which is an incorrect input. So when we're looking for investments, when we're looking for projects and products to invest in, I don't just look at what the technology. Everybody's got great technology. No, I mean you'd be shocked at some of the things we come across. They're incredible. I mean, literally life changing.
yeah,
However, if the parties behind that are not the right ones, we either say, "Hey guys, you need to switch X, Y, and Z," or we're not going to touch it because I'm not going to put my name or my capital behind someone or something that I can't truly believe in. I don't know that it's going to be going in good faith. Um, and there's too much at stake when it comes to this kind of programs with this kind of future development because it is going to change lives and it already is. I mean, you have everything from Tesla, full self-driving. It's incredible. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Uh, but if the wrong person put it in and it, somebody hacked in and corrupted and starts hitting people, causing accidents, the list can be long and distinguished. Again, these are physical things that are happening, whether it be the DoD or the self-driving, but it still translates into everything else having to do with the technology. If the wrong person is in charge, then what are you actually getting out of that technology, and how is it affecting? One of my early programs that we worked on uh, was we did a hydroelectric generator for the U.S. military, and then after that we did a quant algorithm for trading stocks, U.S. stocks in the market. Early on, we found out that it missed the fear factor, right? So we had strictly analytical, right? It was
yeah,
based off of real data, real information, and if you took human aspect out of it, it was incredible. But initially, when you put the human aspect in, the fear factor, news comes out, oh my gosh, everybody sells. Or news comes out to the opposite and everybody buys. It's incorrect based off of the data wrapped around the actual stocks, you had them trading out, 100x plus. That's not real. It's fake. Uh, I mean, everything down from GameStop. GameStop, if you actually look at the financials and the data for the company, they should have been gone a long time ago.
Yeah.
It is not a well-run company. It's not good. Uh, but people make money off it. It's the pump and dump. It's the emotional aspect of it. And that is what we have to look for each and every time. I mean, we had to evolve that to put in headlines, and it's not the articles; it's the headlines. The article can say something completely contradictory to what it is, but it doesn't matter because people don't spend the time to read the article. They go, "Oh my gosh, that says the sky's falling. Oh shit, I gotta get out," and they do. They don't read through it and say, "Yeah, we were just joking about that. This is actually about X, Y, and Z," or has nothing to do with the headline by itself.
So in your quantitative analysis of this, like getting the greed fear factor kind of like in it, the emotional response of what people were seeing, you notice that basically like nobody was making decisions based on the content of the article. It was based on the headlines that were coming out. And basically we are just lemmings that are
Yeah,
going after, which is also a
exactly
bad
what it is.
analogy because that's not really true. They don't really jump off of cliffs, but at the same time, like, okay, so it's really interesting. So basically, you retrained your models then in order to understand that, hey, the news is coming out. There is a fear factor or there's an emotional reaction that people are having. So now our systems need to adapt to that.
Yeah, and you can watch that on the VIX. It's the volatility index of the market.
Yep.
Uh, I call it the fear factor. If
Okay.
you're scared, it jumps up. If people are happy, it goes down. However, when people are scared, that's actually when you should be buying. But
Yep.
most people are selling. That's why people lose money in the market.
Well, I think you're like for any retail investor, there's no way that you're going to beat anybody who's sitting here watching terminals and seeing the news go across, or even high frequency traders that are also looking at this. I know I had a developer on my team a while back who was before he joined our team, he was doing high frequency trading, and his responsibility was basically to shave nanoseconds
Mhm.
off of trades by modifying like the Linux kernel so that they could be more effective in, getting, I think he was talking about getting trades across a wire that was less than 20 meters long because they sat their servers right next to the NASDAQ servers
Yep.
and ensured that they had that connection point. And so we're talking like there's no way that a retail investor could possibly compete on that kind of like speed.
No,
Um,
it's impossible. And if anybody really wants to look at it, Wednesday morning, 7 a.m., look at what happens with the futures market with oil. It
so why is
jumps.
it seven? Why is it 7 a.m. on Wednesdays? Like
That's when they're released.
that's when it's released. Okay,
Yep.
so right along those lines, that's when futures kind of come about, and your latest batch of information is right there. And so somebody who goes at like 6:57 might have got the report early. Um,
They're triggered. So the vast majority are quant systems.
yeah.
People don't believe it. It is. Like it or not, it is. And as soon as that data hits, it'll jump or drop and then shoot back and you get whipsawed. I mean, if you're a retail investor and you're in, God bless you, your chances are you're going to hit your stop and you're going to lose a lot of money. You know,
Okay.
I mean, it'll jump so fast that it'll jump over stops
Yep.
and drop so fast. It's impossible unless you have one of those trading terminals that are just right there. Uh, I mean, you're talking ones, they have some that are clocked just shy of the speed of light. Good luck.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's one other thing that you were talking about is with the bias of systems, and then additionally like looking at who is the programmer.
Hmm.
Um, I know for our clients, we're actually talking about like if you are using, let's say, big text platforms, whether you're using OpenAI, Claude, Grok, any of like the
Yeah.
foundational models without having your own systems in place. You're looking at, and I'm talking about like your own systems for either like your chat interface, for your scheduling, for like your AI containment, as far as like your memory management, your shared drives.
Mhm.
AI then is more like a consultant in your organization, where like you are hiring somebody else who has their own needs that they're looking to be met. And if, even if it's a product you're paying for, that resource is being developed according to like what the needs are that that company is looking at. Whereas if you have that AI as part of your team as like an employee, like they may sit, you may still be using those models, but how you interface it in with your systems is going to be different.
Yeah.
How are you looking at like AI inside of your organizations or inside of organizations that you're investing?
As as more of an assistant, uh, I want it to be a straight if and then protocol. Right? If I
Okay.
do this, it does this. I know if I do this, it does this. It's not going to think about it. It's not going to try to reinvent the wheel. It's not going to try to reprogram. If and then. Um, once you're built up, just going off, we've got some phenomenal AI companies that we work with, and their models, of course, do a little bit more than that, but it's still their programmers input it enough to, it takes out as much bias as possible. It's if and then. If I do this, then this is going to happen. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about an outside influence or anything else happening. I know what it's going to do. I prefer those models. Uh, you do need, of course, the self-learning. You do need, you know, an asterisk with that. Um, the self-learning needs to be controlled.
I can definitely agree with you on like the, we're looking at a system that is inherently probabilistic, right? And so being able to understand the like deterministic qualities of it is really important for the reliability, for us understanding like how any automation is going to impact our customers as well. Um, and from that standpoint, I think there's a level of trust that we're building with these tools too, to basically seeing like how wide of a net do you want it to go. And for the most part, you don't want it to be too wide. You want it to be a reliable system that produces the result that you're looking for time
Yes,
after
exactly.
time.
Yeah.
um, what's one of the, what have been some of the gotchas in your space, or some of the areas where you've made an investment and it quite hasn't been like what you were looking for, or the market wasn't ready for the technology?
Yeah, I was just thinking about bringing that up. So early on, we made a few investments. Teams were great. Um, their software was incredible, but that's what the company was. We're building something amazing. Okay. Uh, but even though you had a go-to-market strategy, you didn't know it properly. So
Mm.
you're building the greatest thing no one will ever see. You don't know what you're doing, and that's something I look at more than anything now. How is this going to work with anyone else in the market? People, not people, most companies we deal with, vast majority that come to me, they build something that they think is awesome. And it is for them. I always say nobody gives a shit what they're building, what you like about it, what's great about it. All they care about is how is it going to help them get what they want. And if they can tailor that to getting them what they want, they'll be successful. But if you build what you want, you won't, you'll fail.
That's a really good point, because I'm also seeing myself, I fall into that like realm as well, right? Like we build out these solutions, they're great for us, and at the same time, like sometimes they may not hit the market, but that is the nature of the beast of who we are. Uh, but then at the same time, like any startup that we get involved with, that go to market strategy and the understanding of like, hey, the founders think this is cool, everybody thinks this is great, but like how is the market going to react? How do you validate that go to market strategy as an investor?
Phones. People are afraid to pick up the phones. They'll put out some stupid thing, a poll somewhere. That's bullshit. There's no buy-in. Pick up
Yeah.
the phone. Hey, would you buy this? No, why not? Well, because it doesn't do this, that, and the other thing. Make it do that.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone, call a lot, not just one or two people. I have people. Well, I called these two companies. No, so you called two people. So that's your entire base. That's going to be your customer base of those two people. That doesn't work. You
No.
can't have information bias. You have to go in there cold and say, all right, this is what we have. Can I show it to you? And most people will take a look at it. You might not get the CEO of Google or Meta or anything like that, but you're going to get people high enough, and you go top down. I mean, when I started out, I would reach out to the CEOs of the biggest firms in the world. I'd reach out to the biggest investors in the world. It takes work, but you'll get them. And then most of the time it's, hey, I don't have time for this, but talk to this guy. And then, okay, here you go. You meet with them. Is this going to work for you? Do you see what we're doing? Is there any way that you would be able to implement that? And if they say yes, get an LOI. Ask for it. Can you send us something? If we hit X, Y, and Z metrics, are you willing to implement it? That it costs you nothing. It's not gonna, it's not gonna affect you in any way to put out that LOI unless we hit X, Y, and Z metrics. And if we can do that for you, are you willing to put your money where your mouth is? Or is this just a bullshit conversation? You have to ask them.
I appreciate that because it's also something that I coach entrepreneurs on and look for in any investment that I make as well. That letter of intent, that bit of commitment, even though letters of intent, they're rarely worth the paper that they're signed on,
Mhm.
with the exception of like somebody had to say like, I do have the intention of doing this. And if the founders or the team that is working on that project can't actually make that request, then how are they going to close the sale? Is basically how I look at it as well. That is such a low effort way of getting somebody to commit. Another way that we look for doing that is sales funnel pages, and getting people to see like how far we can get them through the sales cycle before the product is actually built. And one of those is actually incorporating credit card checkout. If somebody is willing to put in their credit card information, even though we're not going to be billing them, that is another way that we look at like validating that customer is willing to pay for this product.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
One more thing though with the LOIs, I don't like emails. I mean, when it comes to the LOIs, they need to print it out and they need to sign it, because once they've actually signed it, they now have put in essence the reputation on it.
exactly.
We're going to do it. So hey, can you send me? Yeah, sure. Here's an email. Yeah, we're checking it out. Okay, cool. What does that actually mean?
No, I think you got to go through the DocuSign process. You got to go through that
I like
like
wet signature.
you like so you go wet ink.
Yep.
Okay,
You have to print it out and sign it. You have to actually do it. And when they're willing to actually do it, it means something.
that's true.
And if they say, "Nah, I'm not going to do that," that's telling.
Okay, I can appreciate all of that. I think that's a great spot to be. Um, what other advice do you have for, let's say, investors in this space, or even entrepreneurs, or really along the lines of like how do you take something that's in a major hype cycle and actually like ground it in value?
You have to break it down. You have to break it down. Why are you doing it? What's it going to accomplish? How's it going to help whoever it is that you want to purchase it? What's your exit strategy? Are you looking for an acquisition? And if you are, and I've come across a lot of these, well, we're going to have, we're going to have Facebook bias, or sorry, Meta bias, or we're going to have, Google bias. Okay, but are they? Who have you talked to? Well, nobody. Okay, then no, they're not. It doesn't work like that. They want to spend, they're looking at investments from us. So now, full candidly, I only do a little bit of investing in the AI now. We've switched over to physical assets. So we'll build out data centers. We'll build out, uh, any real estate based, back typically around 800 million or above. So large scale
Yep.
buildings. Um, but a lot of those do incorporate these kind of things. A lot of it has AI in it. A lot of it has everything from VR to uh, machine learning, depending on what it is, to biosciences, to you name it. But when you're looking at these companies to invest in, you need to get you need to get to the crux of it. You know, what are they actually doing that matters? Not just building another widget. Hey, look at how cool this is. Look at these pretty pictures. Look at NFTs, who are paying stupid amounts of money for what? You don't have anything. Nobody gives a shit about it.
Yep.
It was all a perception. Hey, look at how great this is. Look at what we're gonna make. But you're not. You're not actually making anything. You're not doing anything. It's all bullshit.
That was my favorite thing is in the crypto community, like hearing there was like both sides of this is amazing, blah, blah, blah. But then the other side was like, well, I just copy pasted your art.
Hmm.
Like that's what it is. I think technically NFTs are very interesting from the standpoint of what you could possibly do with that technology.
That's the thing. What you can do, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
Blockchains, crypto, all of it is incredible. What people are doing is a whole different ballgame.
And I think what we saw with the last like craze of NFTs was that that was a nice demo,
Yeah.
right? Like it, but it was really not a great place to store value. It wasn't the hype that was around it wasn't all that great. I have, many artist friends who, you know, made a good amount of money on selling their art as NFTs. And even they were like, you know what, this is the hype. It's basically like we just got to jump on, we'll make sure that we're part of it. But then at the same time, like hopefully this stays, don't expect it to.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you're getting back to like what's that good principle of investing and also of like creating good businesses is that you've got to be focused on the value chain that you're participating in and that you got to increase like that value across when you're getting involved. And whether it's the technology that's cool, yeah, fantastic, but it's still got to produce something of value. And it's the lessons that we learned in the dot-com crash. It's the lessons that we learned in the crypto cycles that we see
But
coming about.
even with that, I mean, .com is a perfect example. Everybody jumps in. Oh, they're not actually doing anything. They're not doing a damn thing, but it was cool, so people jumped in it. And if you're smart about your investments, uh, you know that. So you start writing it. And then when you see something, get out. Don't say, oh no, it's going to keep going up. Don't be an idiot. Get out, take your money, move on to the next project. But again, it does obviously, .com had very intricate principles for what we have today, right? What they're building back then is something that everybody uses. I mean, talk about Google, right? Something that everyone uses now, something everybody knows about. And good things will always come out of those stupid times. I don't know how else to put them. Uh, people thinking that, well, I can put my money here no matter what, it's going to go up. It's not. Um,
Exactly.
there has to be something behind it. There has to be something real. How are they going to make money? They can't just, print stocks. It doesn't work like that. That's what they're doing. Literally, that's what they're doing. It doesn't work like that. What is the value to the next person? Okay, with the NFTs, look, this is something cool. Nobody has it before, so I'm going to buy it. Okay, but what does that mean to anybody else? You got in first. The value proposition that you bought was you're the first. Second person doesn't give a shit. You have to look deeper into what it is and why. The why behind it is everything.
Reminds me of Simon Sinek. Start with why.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great point. All right, so on this, like Shane, I got to say, I've really appreciated you coming on the show and being a part of this. What's one last piece of advice you'd like to leave to the audience?
Well, to the ones building the companies, my advice is do your homework. Don't be lazy. Do your homework. Look into what you're doing that's amazing, how it's going to affect and what it's going to mean to those that are actually purchasing it, and how you can make their lives better. That's what everything is. All AI, computers, phone, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if it's a cup. The whole point and purpose is to make somebody's life better.
Yeah.
It's the pleasure pain principle. Is the pain of not having it greater than the pleasure of getting it? And if it is, emphasize that continuously. And when it comes to an investor, it's the same principle. What are they building for? Why are they building for? Is it a one-off customer? Is it somebody that's going to say, "Oh yes, I love it. I'm going to buy it." Okay, but then that's it. Once they buy it and people realize what it is it anything? Is it flash in the pan? Oh, look how amazing this technology is incredible. But it doesn't help me at all. And if it doesn't help you at all, if it doesn't make your life easier, your business better, and whatever it is that your end goal is, then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It does in a sense that yes, it's important to you to do that, but as a market, because you build a company for the market, you don't build it for yourself. And if you're building it for yourself, you should be working for somebody else.
I think that's such a good thing to like lean on. And at the same time, can you build something for yourself and also for the market?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can build.
You can't leave
How
the
do you
market
think?
out.
Yeah. How do you think you get any innovation anywhere?
Yeah.
They're building it from themselves. When the first AI models, they built it from themselves. Can I do this? You did. Can now adopt it to the market.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking of, like Apple and the iPhone. And it comes down to the story of like why people were building it. And like the Apple executive team was so invested in like they wanted to have that product.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we all wanted to have that product after,
Yeah.
the iPhone originally gets announced, right? Like it hit such a sweet spot in like what the market was looking for. And at the same time, like I can tell you from the entrepreneurs that I talk to, if they have that problem, they're much more apt at solving it. And at the same time, if they're myopically focused on themselves in that problem, they miss the market. But at the same time, if they're out there talking to the market and interacting with the market, their enthusiasm for solving the problem gets infectious
Absolutely.
as
Yeah.
well. And people want to be part of that vision that they're going for. So,
Absolutely.
Shane, absolutely. Like, I think if you are not focused on that market, you're not actually helping anybody out but yourself. And by just helping out yourself, you're not really helping out anybody. We are a species of community, and so like we've got to be out there helping our friends and helping that. So
Absolutely.
thank you
Yeah.
again.
Build it something that you really love, and then you might not even have to tweak it very much. It can be something minuscule, but it makes it adoptable for everyone else. Because if you're just building it for yourself, maybe it can be, a program that helps you get your calendar in order, whatever it is, right? If it's
Yeah.
tailored for you and not them, you might get a couple sales, but you need to adapt and overcome. You need to adapt to what they want and you need to continuously adapt. Don't just say, oh, well, I did it. You didn't do it.
Yeah.
You're growing or you're dying. You should always be tweaking. Sometimes you're going to go the wrong way and then you pivot. I mean, it's very easy, but you can't get your head in the weeds. Weeds and clouds is something that I talk to any of my investments all the time. If your head is down in the weeds, you're out. You're going to miss what's going on. You're going to miss opportunities. You're going to miss what the competitors are doing. You're going to miss, you know, tailoring it to what actually matters. And if you're in the clouds and you can actually oversee that and see what's happening, see what the market's doing, see what your competitors doing, see what your clients and customers or potentials that you want are doing and what they want, and then you dive in on those principles and then step back again. Don't just continue to sit there. Hire the right people to make sure that it happens, but make sure that you're also have a broad overview of what's real in whatever your environment is that you're building.
Again, Shane, thank you so much for being on. Really appreciate
Absolutely,
you
yeah.
taking the
Thank
time.
you.